Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am glad to be here, and I'm grateful to be here. Last Saturday, Lori and I had the opportunity to attend a niece's wedding. A beautiful wedding, beautiful girl. We're very happy and delighted for her, and for the time we got to spend with family. But especially, in life, there's those moments that you'll never forget. And I had a special moment with my mother, who was unable to attend because of an illness. And as I sat at her bedside and held her hand, and she looked into my eyes and I looked into her eyes, we laughed, we cried, and we shared stories, and we also talked about the future and our eternal family. And I'm grateful for families, and I'm grateful for my belief and understanding of eternal families and the meaning that it has. And that moment was special to me. We all look at life differently and achievements differently. We set a vision this last year to make 2014 the most meaningful year ever for us. What would be those elements that would make us the happiest, meaningfully happy at the end of the year? I read a statistic recently that said over 75% of everybody that set a New Year's resolution to go to the gym has already abandoned that goal. Why? Why did they abandon that goal? I also read a statistic that really blew me away that says 6 out of every 7 heart patients who have been told that they needed to get into shape have abandoned the plan of getting into shape within a year of being told to do so, whether it was a heart attack, heart surgery, some of that nature. They still abandon that vision. Why does that happen? You look at capability, it's not because they're not capable, it's because they don't understand the elements of capability. So let's talk about the elements of capability, whether you're a business or whether it's talking to you about your individual or a family. There's really 3 broad categories of capability. When you really look about the what of capability are your tiers, your resources, your time, energy, attention, resources, money, etc., your experiences, your relationships, your contracts. These are the things that are part of the resources that you have as an individual or as a company. That's the what. The how you use those resources is the second bucket, and that's your process. What are the processes that you use to employ the resources that you have in such a manner that you're going to optimize them and get the best result from them? But in what direction are you going to take them, and why? That becomes the third bucket, or the priorities. Priorities are the why. And without the why being really clear, it doesn't matter what knowledge you have. It doesn't matter what experience you have, what relationships you have, how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your process is, because you won't be motivated to carry it out. You won't have the strength to say no so that you can say yes to the very important. Say no to very important so that you can say yes to the essential. It's that priority. And it's the interaction of the 3 of those that give us the capability to really achieve whatever it is we want to achieve, whether it's in our business or in our personal or family life. And how those 3 work together are extremely important. And so I look at, we set a vision last year, at the beginning of this year, that we would get to the end of this year, and instead of saying, I can't believe it's the end of the year already, we're going to be saying instead, can you believe how much we accomplished in just 1 year? Now that's exciting, to make 2014 the most meaningful year, and it's not too late. We're not even halfway through. We're almost halfway through. It's not too late. I don't care when you start, if you'll make the commitment, if you'll inventory your resources, evaluate your processes, make sure that they're aligned, and maybe that's why you need a coach. Because what a coach does is it comes in, and it's what I do when I'm coaching, when I'm a business family coach, we look at the resources. We look then at your processes. Can we improve those processes and make them better? We hold you accountable. But before we can do that, we have to understand the big why. What are your priorities? Your priorities. What are the things that are important to you? And can we see that by looking at your processes and how you're employing this? If you're not aligned with who you want to be by the way that you're executing your processes, you'll never achieve that vision that you want to have. So how do we integrate those 3 things together? Now, one of the things that I enjoy doing, as you well know, is reading. I invite you to join Empowered Wealth Connect if you haven't done so already. Go to empoweredwealth.com and join. It's not expensive. And what we're doing is we're putting out material, courses that we're working on that will help you with your priorities, that will help you with each of these three areas of capabilities. And we also do book reports. We did a book report this last month on Plateau. The next one will be on the rise of Superman, and the one following that will be on how will you measure your life. And I'm going to quote something from How Will You Measure Your Life right now. This is a book by Clayton Christensen, a Harvard professor, one of the experts on business, that has looked at business and said, here's how you take true principles of making businesses successful and apply them to your personal life. And I've read this book 5 or 6 times already. I'm so excited to be able to share a book report with you in the future. But from his epilogue, let me conclude by just reading a paragraph. And I want you to think about this. Think about the fact that 97% of all family businesses never survive the second generation, the third generation. That's a huge statistic. That's horrible. Why is that? And I think this is a contributing reason as we listen to this. Now, he says, this is in the epilogue. He says, whether they want one or not, every company has a purpose. Okay? Whether you state it or want one or not, every company has a purpose. Same with every family. It rests in the priorities of the company and effectively shapes the rules by which managers and employees, or family members, decide what is most important in each unique situation. In many companies or families, the purpose has come through an emergency strategy entrance. What that means is that they may have headed in this direction to build a company that does this, but they've found something else that's even bigger and helps them better, and they move it off into that. And the purpose has come through an emergency strategy entrance in which certain powerful managers and employees believe that the company is there solely to help them as individuals achieve their personal ends, whatever those might be. For those people, the company essentially exists to be used. Enterprises with such de facto purposes usually fade away, and very quickly the company, its products, and its leaders are forgotten. But if an organization or a family has a clear and compelling purpose, its impact and its legacy can be extraordinary. The purpose of the company or the purpose of the family will serve as a beacon that will focus their employees or their family members, their complete attention on those things that really matter most. I encourage you, do an assessment of your current resources. Do an assessment then of, are you employing the right processes to employ those resources? And do you have the big why? And are those three things aligned? Because you've got the why, you've got the what, the resources, your time, energy, attention, resources, and money. You've got the process, which is the how. This is how you employ them. And you've got the why, which are your priorities. Do that this week. We'll talk next Monday. This is going to be the most meaningful year you've ever had. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.